Well, welcome to our session, and sorry for a slight delay for our colleagues online and those in the room.
And those in the room, you can hear me?
You
You
made some
made some
expression, no?
no?
Fading in
Fading
and
in
out.
and out.
Okay.
Just get people closer so they can.
But we have to, because of people outside, we have to speak. No? I know, I can tell you, I was attending, I've been attending this last one, IGF since the first IGF. The biggest challenge, two biggest challenges are food sometimes, and the second is sound. Therefore, that's, it seems the sound works now? Yes, it's okay. Good. Thank you for coming today. I'm Jovan Kurbali, Director of the Diplo Foundation and Head of Geneva Internet Platform. And my colleague Sorina Taleanu is Director of Knowledge at Diplo. Therefore, Sorina is working a lot on the intersection between artificial and human intelligence. Human, artificial, artificial, human.
Well,
1 minute. 1 minute and a half, two.
count. Yeah, the screen is gone.
Okay.
No, you can talk. Okay.
I think you go ahead little bit.
I have permission.
I think audience's permission.
Where are you coming from?
I'm from Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. Okay. You guys in the Indian subcontinent, you invented number 0 and put us in trouble. Otherwise, we were using Roman numbers and it was so easy. But you invented 1 and 0 and digital world, and all trouble starts, including sound in this room. I'm always teasing my colleagues and friends from India, Bangladesh, because number 0, shunya, was invented in the continent, and they came through the Al-Khwarizmi, who invented the algorithm, first to Arab traders, and then it came to North Africa when Mr. Fibonacci, who was very young.
Music is coming.
It's better than me.
Me.
Better than you.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Speaking of digital challenges.
Those are challenges.
Oh, there was a proposal that I start singing, which is a terrible idea, I can tell you. Okay. Some people are giving up, huh?
There's a double.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Myself personally since 1992, when I did my master thesis on international law and expert systems. At that time, AI was about expert systems. A rule-based AI, you basically try to cover, in this case, international law, and do, if there is a breach of this, then, and the other thing. Now, at deep 5 years since neural networks started, and especially after the initiation of the question of ChatGPT, we have been focusing on AI, but in slightly different way than other systems. We have been developing AI, and in addition, we have been trying to It's a good decision. In addition, we have been trying to see what are the philosophical, governance, political aspects of AI. The principle is that you don't need to be a programmer, although we have quite a few programmers, but you have to understand basic concepts in order to discuss AI. Otherwise, the discussion ends up with, unfortunately, dominant narratives that we have here at IGF, and not only IGF, many meetings, bias, ethics, and we can generate typical AI speech. Mix of bias, mix of ethics, and what we notice is that there is a narration which is not going into the critical issues. And what we basically did in this context was the following. I'm sorry. Up, it should work. We were discussing: are we holding the globe together, or we are fighting machines and people? And most of our discussions, especially when the hype came in 2023 with ChatGPT, we were really concerned because being involved in AI, we were concerned that there was almost surrealistic discussion. And those of you who are in this field, you know that there was a long-termism movement of effective altruism. It basically send the message, you are, no? Like this? Upside? Yes. Okay. My God. So many details. That was basically long-termism movement, which was saying, don't discuss AI, I'm simplifying, don't discuss AI currently, let's see what will happen in 20, 30 years, and let's prevent that AI destroys humanity. I'm caricaturing a bit, but it was the narrative. You can recall the letter signed by lead scientists, Stop AI and these things. One worrying signal which I noticed was it became a bit of ideological narrative. And when there is ideology, then there is something fishy. I was born in socialist country, and I can detect in no time ideological narrative. And it was ideological narrative. More or less similar to communist narrative, which says, don't ask any question now, just enjoy, follow the orders of the party, and in 30 or 40 years, we will be in the ideal society. If you complain, you go to Gulag, and you get in trouble. Now, that was a bit of initial narrative, and we said, okay, it's a bit tricky. We have to make more serious discussion about it. Therefore, we started pushing for immediate risks of AI in the education, in jobs, in the day-to-day life, in use of AI by content moderation platform, by Google, in any walk of the life. And we were particularly concerned about one aspect which you can consider as a mid-term aspect, which was a massive codification of human knowledge by a few platforms, mainly platforms in the United States and China. Therefore, when you interact with ChatGPT, you basically, as we know, you're training the model. And that was, or Google, or Alibaba, it's not a matter where from it is coming, but the idea that knowledge is centralized and captured was very problematic. Therefore, we started developing bottom-up AI, trying to show that with relatively little resources, you can develop your own AI, and you can preserve your knowledge. And we say that it is technically feasible, financially affordable, and ethically desirable. Because knowledge, which is codified by AI, is that it defines our identity, our dignity. And that's extremely important that we know what is happening with our knowledge. Or knowledge of the generations before us. This is more or less the context in which we have been doing that, but I'll ask Sorina now, to build more on these discussions. You have to hold it here. No, here.
Let's see if I can do this right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our session. I think what we wanted to do today is to have a bit of a dialogue around some of the more philosophical issues surrounding AI, because at least I personally feel we talk a lot about, challenges and opportunities of AI, and we need to govern it because how do we deal with the challenges and how do we leverage opportunities? But what about the more human side of all of this? Of this, and I do have a few questions that I'm hoping we can go through quickly, and I'll just, you want, yeah, no, I'll actually do it myself if we can just maybe switch. I do like slides quite a lot, and at Diplo we do have quite a few very nice illustrations that I couldn't miss an opportunity to share with you. So I'm going to do a bit of that, bear with me, and then hoping to have more questions from you as well. What you will see on the slide is mostly questions, things that I hope we would feature more in our discussions on AI governance, on the impact of AI, on economy, society, humanity, and whatnot, and which I feel we miss more often than not. So starting with this, we talk a lot about large language models, right? And generative AI and ChatGPT and all of these things. But what are some of these challenges in knowledge creation? How do we look at large language models and at generative AI tools? Are they a tool? Are they a shortcut? Are they our assistant, new coworker? How do we relate ourselves with these tools? Are we even making conscious choices when we interact with them, or are we exercising our agency as humans? To what extent? And yeah, the broader question, what roles do we imagine large language models playing vis-a-vis us humans as we interact with them? Are we missing the forest for the trees? We talk a lot about generative AI, but are there other forms of intelligent machines, agents, whatever you want to call them, that we might need to focus a bit more in our discussions on governance, policy, again, implications, and what does it all mean? And if we do need to do that, how do we actually get there? And then something that really, really bothers me is this way through which we do assign human attributes to AI. We do talk a lot about AI understanding, AI reasoning, and using these sorts of words that are much more adequate to use for human intelligence, right? But does AI actually reason? Does AI actually understand? And when we use this word, do we actually understand what do we mean by them? And yeah, there is a bit of hype around anthropomorphizing. I spoke too much today. AI, and I'll just give you one example. I'm not sure how many of you here might have attended the big event in Geneva, which happens on a yearly basis. This is the Global AI for Good Summit. I see at least one person who's around Geneva, but he's busy typing. Thank you for that. So last year there was a lot of focus on humanoid robots. So you would walk through the conference venue and see a human-like looking robot here, another one there, another one there. But what I didn't see was people actually questioning, okay, what does that robot actually mean? Does it understand? Does it reason? Does it think? Or is it just another way for us to hype technology in some way?
You have them here as well.
Yeah, we have robots here as well. And then a bit more on the interplay between AI and other technologies that tend to also join a bit the hype. Another example from the exactly same conference, last year the focus was on neurotechnologies and how the interplay between AI and neurotechnology might be impacting the way we relate to these technologies in the future. There were many companies who are coming at the summit and presenting their neurotechnology devices, applications, and whatnot. And we had this random curiosity, okay, let's see what kind of privacy policies these companies have when it comes to their processing of brain data. You know, if you use a neuro device, there is some processing of brain data. What do you think we've found out? Any guess?
Out of how many?
I think 8 or 9. Those were the companies that we looked at. One had a line in the privacy policy saying, well, we might be processing your brain data, but because you agreed to use the service, you also agreed to us processing the data. And then all others, their privacy policies were mainly related to cookies, how you interact with the website, but nothing about the technology itself. And then the question is, if you as an international organization invite these organizations companies to speak about how amazing neurotechnology can actually be at the end of the day and, I don't know, help solve whatever problems, shouldn't you also be a bit more careful about how they also deal with the human implications of this, with human rights and whatnot? I think sometimes we talk, but we don't also walk the talk in the policy space, and I'm hoping we will see a bit more of that going forward. More questions. When words lose their meaning, how many of you here use tools like ChatGPT? At least, okay, I'm seeing a lot of hands. I'm a bit worried, to be honest. Jovan and I are also teaching at the College of Europe, and you know how it is. When you have an assignment which is write an essay, you just go to ChatGPT, you put it there, and you get your essay. We're also seeing this in the policy space quite a lot. There was a funny anecdote from the head of an international organization in Geneva. Would you like to tell that shortly? About going to a conference and hearing the same?
Yes, they went for a conference and they were hearing all same speeches by all opening statements, and that was it. And we had one organization that created AI strategy on 120 pages, and we initially, it's important organization, and we said, let us read it. And then somebody even didn't dare to remove ChatGPT references. And then we said, oh my God, what's going on? That was funny anecdote with 8 speeches or 9 speeches, basically. We then analyzed them and we found the patterns that were basically generated by, even they don't make an effort to go to Gemini or other platforms, but everything was generated by ChatGPT. Okay.
Another perspective is that maybe speeches would be very worst.
Okay, just for colleagues online, but there was a comment, which is good comment, and we often discuss that. We always ask how AI should be perfect. But then in the same time, we are who we are. And the speeches, as you know, even written by humans, are not that exciting. And then it was good point. But what worried us was this huge document on AI strategy, and we were thinking, many countries will read it as a strategy for AI for that organization. First, can they read 110 or 20 pages? Second, is it really expression of the policy interest of that organization? It's not. It's on very common sense level, and that's it. Serena.
Thank you, Jovan. And speaking more of concerns, I think the first question right there is the one expressing the best what we have been discussing for quite a while, at least at Diplo, but I don't see it so much in the broader space. If we rely so much on AI tools to write our text and communicate in our emails or whatever else, right now it's kind of easy to spot what is AI-generated text and what at least has some sort of human intervention. But if we end up relying so much on ChatGPT and alike tools, will we still sound like humans 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? And also, what does it happen with all this kind of, how do I call it, self-perpetuation of AI? If AI comes up with new text based on data already available now, but 5 years from now, all of the new data will still be AI generated. What does it also mean for broader issues of human knowledge? And also for how us as humans actually relate to each other at the end of the day and how we communicate to each other. This is one of my favorite books. I'm not sure if someone in the room has actually read it. I think we also have this kind of obsession as humans to try to develop AI which is really like us. We want general artificial intelligence to be as good as humans as every single task because, I don't know, we want that to happen. But what about other forms of intelligence out there? Can we develop intelligent machines that act more like octopuses, which we have discovered recently that are quite smart, right, and intelligent? More like fungi, more like forests. What about other forms of intelligence around us that we might want to borrow a bit from as we develop whatever we mean by intelligent machines? We tend to be so focused on us humans. We are at the center of the earth. We are the best. We know the best. But maybe it's not exactly that also as we look into developing technology. Yes, and we're having more trouble with technology because why not? And I'll end with a few more questions. This is probably the overarching one. What does it mean to still be human in an increasingly AI era? This is more on the interplay I was mentioning earlier between neurotechnology, more invasive technologies, AI, and Jovan can cover that a bit later as well. Another example of this interplay, what we have been trying to kind of advocate for in the policy space in Geneva is this right to be humanly imperfect. Jovan, would you like to reflect on this a bit?
Well, the idea is counterfactual, and when I go to Human Rights Council and Human Rights community, they look at me as if I'm from the other planet. But I was arguing for quite some time, 3 to 5 years, and I even proposed the workshop at the IGF, but probably the whatever MAG, they dismissed that. As I was arguing, I've been arguing for the idea that we have a right to be imperfect. But our efficiency civilization made centered about optimizing efficiency is basically making it unthinkable that you have a right to be lazy. You have to be right to make mistake. You have a right to ask. You have a right to this. But if we really consider carefully, humanity made its main breakthroughs when we were lazy. In ancient Greece, these people had plenty of time to walk through the parks and to think about philosophy. Or in Britain, all of this tennis, football was invented in the British time. Obviously, some other people were working for the elite. That's another story. But they were lazy and they were inventing things. Therefore, my argument is that we have to fight to right to be imperfect, to refuse to remain natural, not to be hacked biologically, right to disconnect, right to be anonymous, and right to be employed over machine. I have my bet that in 5 years' time I will be already retired, but some of you are younger. We will have at least one workshop at IGF of asking, do we have a right to be imperfect? And then I can offer it as a bet that we do it. But it's a very serious question, going beyond the, let's say, catchy title. It's going into what Sorina said, the critical question, what does it mean to be human today? And what will be our humanity in the relation to machines in the coming years?
And it's not so much, about talking about robots coming and taking over and this Terminator business that used to be in focus for quite a while. It's more about this very human-to-human interaction and how AI comes into play in this human-to-human interaction. We'll end with a few more questions, and then we're hoping you will be adding more questions at the bottom of our slide. So trying to wrap up, what do we actually want from AI? Maybe I shouldn't. There is a quote from a company, maybe I shouldn't quote the company at least, developing artificial general...
It's a prominent company.
Yeah. It's developing or trying to develop artificial general intelligence, again, the type of AI that would be at least as good as human at doing everything and anything. So the quote, I'm going to paraphrase it probably, goes a bit like this. Our aim as a company is to develop artificial general intelligence, to figure out how to make it safe, and then to figure out its benefits. So when I saw that statement, I was thinking, okay, but shouldn't it be a bit like the other way around? Like sort out what are the benefits of AGI, then see how to make it safe, and then actually develop it? Isn't it a bit of a wrong narrative there? And I think in our policy discussions at the IGF and elsewhere, we should be questioning these companies a bit more. I feel they're just going around the place saying, hey, AI is going to solve all of our problems and we're going to sleep happily every night because AI will do the work for us. Okay, but have we actually thought carefully about this? And again, it's not about Terminator and this kind of robots killing humanity, but what does it mean to still be human?
When you said sleep, we are sleepwalking.
We kind of are, exactly, because again, we don't see many of these questions, unfortunately, in the policy debates. And we're coming from Geneva, where every other day, at least, you do have a discussion on AI governance. You can confirm, thank you for nodding. How many of these questions do you actually see in those debates? So I'm hoping we will be seeing more of them. Again, how do we interact with AI to what extent are we even aware of these interactions, and how much of these interactions involve informed choices? How about our human agency? As I was saying, is AI having an impact on how we interact and how we relate with each other as human beings? Is AI making choices for us? Should it be making choices for us? Again, the notion of human agencies. Related to Jovan's point about the right to be humanly imperfect and this focus on efficiency, in a world driven so much by economic growth and GDP and this way of measuring progress, can humans compete with machines? Should humans compete with machines? Should we just do what we're good at and leave machines do like repetitive tasks? And finally, is there a line to be drawn? Can we still draw this line at the point? Is it too late? Can we be asking more questions? Over to you, I would say, and I'm hoping you will have some reflections on some of these questions, and ideally more questions, because I think questions are important, and we should be asking more of them.
Internally I'm enthusiast on AI side because I have the geeky approach, and Sorina is not enthusiast. And for those of you who consulted Sorina's book, I will probably repeat myself. She wrote a book on the Global Digital Compact. When it was adopted on 27th on September at the UN, Sorina has been following Compact for the last 18 months. Her slides are shared by many governments. And I said, Sorina, let's use AI and convert your slides into the book. And she said, okay, you know how Sorina is kind. She said, okay, maybe. And the next day I see Sorina typing. I said, Sorina, come on, let's put the slides and we convert into the book and you have a book. Sorina wrote the book herself in 47 days on 200 pages. Here is the book. And I lost my battle that AI can help us in writing this is a book, which was written in a very solid analysis in 47 days. Therefore, we have internal battle, which is healthy debate, with me being more optimistic and Sorina being more careful and pessimistic. But we do reporting from IGF through the website, I don't know, with the use of AI. And we are going to ask at the end of the IGF, whole analysis of IGF, how many, in our view, realistic questions about AI were asked over the 5 days. And how many discussion on ethics, biases, and these things. Mind you, that's important discussion, but we are very often not seeing a forest for a tree. Critical issues about the future of the knowledge. Therefore, we start with questions or comments. Thank you very much. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Onu, Mohammad Abdullah Onu. I am a Secretary General of Bangladesh Internet Governance Forum. My question is, who institute giving teaching the AI ethics? Everybody everybody saying that we should follow the AI ethics. Who delivered the teaching process that we should follow this curriculum? This is the AI ethics? My question.
Okay, I'm first bit cautious about AI ethics. I think there is a human ethics, and I'm cautious about biases, for example. I'm full of biases. You are full of biases. We are biases. Historically, culturally. Therefore, there is a very important discussion how to organize that and how to make a common sense curriculum, not too hyped. And I'm afraid that a lot of energy in AI debates is going to the, let's say, ethics. You have now more than 1,200 guideline standards on AI and ethics. That is losing any context. Therefore, I would be careful on that. I wouldn't focus on AI and ethics. I will focus on how AI functions and what are the implications for society. Direct implication. We run AI apprenticeship. People create their chatbot. They interact. We tell them, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. Is it going to offend somebody? What are the biases that could be tolerated? What are the biases which are illegal or can harm people? Therefore, you put general discussion on ethics. We love philosophy. But philosophy should be practical. You put it to the very practical level. This is missing. And that should be, in our view, developed through the apprenticeship programs. Yep.
Thank you, Jovan. I agree with you. Already we are suffering is the misinformation, disinformation, malinformation through by social media, so many channels, given there is no ethics, there is nobody follow the ethics. Now we are facing upcoming day is the AI ethics. How we are suffer and how we are manage this kind of thing. Nobody maintain the rules, nobody maintain the ethics, but everybody is saying that we should follow the ethics.
Let me say, it's very simple. Diplo has AI systems. I'm director of Diplo. If you go to our website and you ask the question and you feel insulted, you won't, but if you feel insulted, I'm responsible. I mean, law is very simple. Since Hammurabi, who invented the first legal rules, it's very simple. You start the business or non-profit, you start something, nobody forced you to start it, you use it, you're responsible if damage is created. I'm sorry to say, but you have some laws on AI on close to 200 pages, and principles are legal. I'm a lawyer by training. Legal principles are very simple. Diplo does the chatbot. Okay. Has anyone forced you to do it? No. Is your chatbot harming somebody? So far, no. But if it harms, I'm responsible. And that's the end of the story. There are legal rules that apply to it, and frankly speaking, I am in this field for many years in AI, but I'm always amazed when I go to these AI events, and I think then they go into algorithm models that machine will take over, and then it becomes, but these issues are rather, in its core, rather simple, and law is codification of ethics. Don't kill somebody, don't insult somebody, don't steal somebody's property. And that's simple. We are trying to simplify discussion, because, but not oversimplify, because we found that a lot of energy, including, I'm sorry, in this space, is focused on issues which are nice to talk about, but which are not even sometimes good philosophy. If we discuss good philosophy, it's great, but sometimes it's basically repeating notions on ethics, bias, and that's a bit of my concern on it. Therefore, practical AI apprenticeship, responsibility, legal responsibility, focus on issues, concrete issues, train people to understand it. That would be my advice. We have a question over there. Let me just bring. You were last year as well, you know, you're our followers.
Okay, I'm Tapani Tarvanen from Electronic Frontier Finland, not the foundation. Now I want to jump straight to the deep end of the philosophical questions here. Assuming that AGI becomes actually possible, which I'm not sure of, and it's as good as people in every way, so why isn't it human at that point? You could argue that those machines, if they are our peers in every way, they are our offspring, basically. And they should have human rights at that point as well. So how do I know that you're not a human machine? And why should I care in the end? If, you know, because I don't know what goes inside your brain. We don't understand how we think, for that matter. Now, I don't think we are LLMs, you know, these large language models, no any other type of present artificial intelligence. There are other kinds, as you know, AlphaGo or Stockfish, as somebody might know here. They are not LLMs, but they are still artificial intelligence. But perhaps, you know, we can come up with true IGI. And also I have to point out historical point here that neural networks have been studied since 1980s by Teuvo Kohonen, as you presumably know. So it's not a new thing, but only now, because the data available has made it more practical. But the philosophical point, is there a line to be drawn? Is there a line to be drawn reading from the screen? If and by whom? And at what point it becomes actually acceptable to treat robots as if they were human? Or does it? I suggest that as soon as they start to behave enough human-like that we can't tell it apart from talking to them, pinching them, whatever, then they will be fighting for their human rights.
Fantastic question. Let me how I see it, and then we'll hear from Sorina and a few others. I see it as basically we are powerful, and we decided to run this world, not chimpanzee, not fungi, not octopus, and we say, okay, we are in charge. It's a human-centered world. All of you others, natural or robotic aspects, you are going to follow our rules. I'm now simplifying, probably oversimplifying, but your points are, and I will make a few links if you. We can go into. There is Avicenna, Arab philosopher, who did the flying man story, where basically he discussed what you said. Are we real? He basically argued that flying man, who is floating, maybe in this room, is philosophical exercise, but removed from the body, from the sensory experiences. And is there a free will? Is there a free consciousness of the flying man? It's, for me, still one of the most fascinating lines of the virtuality of thinking. And to the point, you raised many issues, but that's one. The other issue which you raised is so what? It is sort of echoing into so what? Why we should be worried? My colleague Andrei, who is our head of our linguist, raise your hand, Andrei. Yeah. He raised recently one interesting aspect, which you can narrate later on this. There was discussion, this type of discussion in Abu Dhabi at one event, and he said, why we are afraid of AI? Because it is the first machine which is not doing exactly what we expect. When you press the light, you got the light. When you press the accelerator in your car, you accelerate. When you write the text in word processor, you have the text which you write. Always the reaction is basically expected, predictable. For the first time, we have a machine which is hallucinating and which looks like us. Therefore, we started being worried about AI because it is not anymore this precise machine like everything else before invented by technology. Suddenly it's like us. It hallucinates. Imperfect. It has the right to be imperfect. Therefore, it was interesting insight by Andre, and he may later on. We have a question from you. Introduce yourself.
I'm Henry Pollitt from ISPA in Belgium, and I wanted to jump on what you said there because then we should submit AI to exams and graduation by having a smart question like the human to select them and bring them to something because, sorry, I don't know if it works. Okay, no, I'm saying that because it can generate, there's a lot of topics right now, but just jumping on that answer, if you generate, you don't know what to generate, then you must know how can we have a system to validate what the AI is doing, of this engine is doing. You need to kind of have like a human goes to a graduation process, and at the end of it, through his education, you are graduate. The AI should also be kind of testable and make sure that what you say is not hallucination. That's what I wanted to say about that. And the second, if I may ask now, the two other points, how would you see the AI, because the information is coming from so many sources? So is there a way that you can conceive an AI system where you would have like an open, I wouldn't say open interface to the data that is populating these processing engines of AI, but in a common way so that they can integrate? Because otherwise you have a kind of single model according to a topic map of some kind of people, but not integrated. It would be great to have like a common efforts so everybody could work towards an AI of value, because this kind, I wouldn't say standard, but the model could be integrated afterwards. Today it's like a big collection, like a big vacuum cleaner that is sucking all the possible data to different purposes, and sometimes maybe commercial purposes more than intelligent purposes, but it is something that we should tackle. And the second aspect, the last comment I would say is, what about using the model like open source? Because who's the data from? Is it the one that produces it, or is the one that collects it? And if the open source of software could give some interesting aspect, because you have different kind of license. You have license that say my data is public domain, do whatever you want with it. Some others would keep it. No, this is a proprietary domain. If I give it to your model, you need to give me something in exchange, or I give you free, but then you give it free. That's all the difference between all this license model in open source. Could that be an interesting part, considering the data like software in a way? That was my question. Thank you.
An excellent question. And while we are preparing the answer, it will be very concrete and answer with practical tools, not just narration, but how it can be done. Sorina, you can reflect a bit on the evaluation, validation of knowledge, or not of these things.
Unfortunately, I kind of missed your question, so I'm not sure I'm in a good position to try to answer. So we'll probably have to wait for Jovan to show us the practical things.
Okay. Well, I was fast in finding, therefore. Answer to your questions, which are critical questions. Yes, knowledge can be developed bottom up by us. And here is very concrete example. We use all what we use is open source. From language models to all applications that we use. And we are now doing transcribing or reporting from IGF. Our session will be transcribed. And here is the key question. Let's say yesterday was a session benefit. You can click on any session. And you have a session at glance. You have a report, full transcript. And what is very critical, you have also what were speakers and their knowledge and their input into the AI model. You have a speech length, you have knowledge graph for the overall session. You have in-depth analysis. Did people agree? Today we had mainly agreements. Not disagreement, but different view between differences, partial agreement and other elements. You don't have it for the whole day. Therefore, what was discussed during the whole day, here is a knowledge graph of discussion, and it's very busy. You can find your discussion and how you relate to all other discussion. Now the key question is, okay, we created then AI chatbot, and we can ask the question, let me ask the question. What should be human right to be imperfect? Probably nobody referred to it, but let's see, maybe. Yes, 5 minutes. We basically processed through all transcripts, and we get the answer. Oh, common knowledge. That's. But then, what is the key? AI identifies on what basis the answer was given. Therefore, it makes a reference to what you said. If you spoke at the session and you said this, that should be referred to you, not into some abstract chatbot where you have. Let me ask some other question, which is more common. What should be AI governance? That's everybody's nowadays talking about this. I'm sure there will be some answer. Therefore, what is currently, just to explain, therefore we transcribe the public sessions into transcript, analyzed by AI system, and we had here some answer. Now, answer is based on sources where you can have exactly who said it, at what time, what were the pointers, and we always, this is our principle, whenever we generate any answer, it must be attributed to somebody or something. For the sake of precision, for the sake of fairness, if it is book written by somebody, an article. This is the major problem, and your question pointed in this direction. Can we do it? Yes, it's doable, and big companies, OpenAI and Google and others, can do it. Why they don't do it, this is another question. But they cannot give us explanation that it is technically impossible. It is technically possible. And that's basically what is, I would say, critical for the future serious discussion about AI. Or here, you have video summaries. You can go to our website. Everything is public. Let's see. I went to the wrong web page. What is AI governance? And then here you have the answer with the details based on the logic and knowledge which was delivered yesterday and today here in this space. And here you find the answer, and then here are the sources. What was the specific session? Voichi Aida, what AI decided to rely on this. Abdullah Al-Shmarani, Ala Zaher, Rupeng. Therefore, the answer was based, AI decided to choose their paragraphs. And that's critical. And then when you click, you go to the website, to the page, with the transcript from that session. And you can go through that session. Therefore, your point, it is technically possible, financially affordable, and ethically desirable. I try to answer with concrete example what we are experiencing today in the building. We got indication that we have 5 minutes. What I suggest, this issue started with the questions. There are many questions which Sorina listed, which we have to discuss. You can drop us an email. We are creating a small group of philosophers. We're proposing one idea to Norwegian host of IGF to have a Sophie's World for AI. Those of you who read the Sophie's World, and to have a session with the author of the Sophie's World in Oslo, and to ask him how he would be considering writing Sophie's World today. But in the process, we plan to engage discussion on Arab philosophy, Asian philosophy, Confucius, Buddhism, Christian, Ubuntu, African philosophy. Those are traditions that have to feed into this serious discussion. Ethics is important part, but I would say knowledge, education, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to interact with each other? Is it going to be refined or remain the same? Those are critical issues in addition to ethics, bias, and other things. Now, without risking of becoming persona non gratas with our generous host, I would like to thank you for patience, excellent questions, and we will leave the cards. You can, if you're interested in this possible Sophie's World, I don't know if Norwegians are going to click on that. I would like to invite you with or without Sophie's World that we continue this discussion and see how far we can move and provide more in-depth answers to your excellent questions. Thank you very much.